tell you when we are live.
Yep, I can see we've got live.
I think we're live now, yeah. Welcome. Thanks for joining us again, Amanda.
You're very welcome, Rob. It's good to be back with the team for the day. I look forward to my Thursdays with the Your Gym team.
Good. No, we're glad to have you on a Thursday. It's really good. I think a lot of people have took a lot of good things away from these one-to-ones that we're doing, but also we have uploaded, I think, 2 on YouTube now.
Oh, brilliant.
And we'll put this one straight on there, so I get super efficient at doing it.
Brilliant.
So that's good. So we wanted to, obviously, we'll give people the floor, but also we wanted to talk about things, tips to manage anxiety today. So tips on best practices from you, really. So yeah. I found a lot of people are probably struggling this week because I feel like this is like the middle week. Also what we're led to believe during this time. So have you had a lot of people kind of worrying about kind of coming out, but also lots of different...
Yeah, it kind of goes back to that uncertainty again. Everybody's like, oh gosh, another 3 weeks, and then what? Will it happen then? Will we be out of lockdown then? You know, there's still all those questions going on now. People just want a definitive answer, and nobody likes feeling uncertain, unsettled, and in limbo. And that's what we're all feeling at the moment. And that's when anxiety strikes, because it doesn't like to be uncertain, unsafe. No. Anything like that is going to trigger anxiety. So yeah, what I have noticed is obviously the pattern, and it has been from the beginning, but even more so now. It's it's not necessarily, for some people it's quite overwhelming anxiety, but for others it's generalized, just a general feeling of anxiety, because there's a lot of fear going on, not just, like we say, uncertainty about when this lockdown, but also about the future, about the finances, about the jobs, about everything, just life in general. So there's a lot of people feeling generalized, they call it GAD, generalized anxiety disorder, but kind of a lot of people are in that at the moment. So as we've discussed, we've tapped into it a little bit in some exercises on previous lives, but if we did a focus session today, because that's something that quite a lot of people are feeling at the moment, then I'm quite happy to do that. But, we also are open. I will go on with my little rants shortly, people, but if you do want to ask any questions throughout, then pop them in the comments, and I'll try and answer other questions that you may have, or other worries, concerns that you've got going on at the moment. We can always halt and come back to the anxiety anytime.
We've got a viewer, look, just here.
Oh, look, he would stop my anxiety any day if I just had Jack. But actually, that is a good tool for anxiety, we say now, pet therapy. So it's a calming, just stroking a pet can help calm you. So stroke your pet. So yeah, do you think we'll continue
let's go straight into kind of what you've got written down, because I'm eager to hear it personally, but also I know a lot of people have kind of spoke to me about it as well. So yeah,
so this is kind of what I've done is, I've got many different tools and techniques, but I'd be here for hours, and I don't think anybody wants to listen to me for hours. So I've kind of...
I suppose you're doing the best ones, are you? Or the
I've kind of condensed it. I've kind of looked over a couple, because I do a lot of workshops on anxiety and stress, and my clients, obviously, we work on different techniques. In session, I do more probably the EFT and things, but here are some good, very helpful tools. Some of them are NLP practices, and others are just general tools for anxiety. But I've condensed them anyway into a little plan here for you guys. So I'll just share them, take from them what you will. If some do work for you, brilliant. You might try and you think, oh, that didn't work, then try something else. You can always watch this back again. Don't think, oh, what's she saying there? Remember, as Rob said, this is recorded and it goes on YouTube as well afterwards. So don't panic. I think some people, they kind of think, oh, I didn't get that down, what she said then. And I will kind of just go, so don't worry.
Straight be on YouTube this afternoon.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. So the first thing I will say, though, before I start, is that you can adapt these as well. So you know, adapt them to either what works for you, but also what works for your children, and other people in the household. You know, if you think, oh, this could actually work for them, but you could reword it or think of a different way of doing it, then they are good for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
So, and we need to be looking after the little ones, don't we? Bless them.
Of course, yeah.
So, good to distinguish first what anxiety is, because it is different. People use the term anxiety and stress very close together, don't they? And interchangeable. Like, oh, I'm just stressed, I'm just anxious. I'm anxious and stressed. It's like, well, they're two very different things. Stress, usually it's due to daily pressures and a kind of inappropriate level of pressure within those areas, and it's just daily and it's consistent. So there's a reason usually for stress. So whether that's the overload in work, whether it's, you know, a partner relationship, stress in a relationship, the demands of something, yeah, but there will be a reason for stress usually. Anxiety, this is where it's different, because not always is there an identifiable root cause to the feeling of anxiety. Yeah, it's just sometimes it's that overwhelming feeling of dread, of fear, of that, and they can't say exactly why. You know, I know now we can say because of the virus, it's because of the, but actually generally says specifically why. It's kind of hard to identify. It's just that overwhelming feeling of fear. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a little bit different. And at the moment, we're all in that uncertainty. So we are feeling scared. We are feeling a bit apprehensive about what lies ahead.
Yeah, no,
and that, it's like for anxiety, it's like, woo, party time.
Yeah.
But we don't want that anxiety party. No. We want to kind of change it. So there's a couple of techniques. First one I would always recommend, if you start feeling that anxiety, and we know how it is, it's usually in the chest and throat, some people it's stomach, but around that kind of central area. Some people it's head, they'll just feel it in the head. But you will know when it hits and when it's upsetting you. So that's the time when you should do a breathing exercise straight away. I know people got, and in that moment, you don't really want to do a breathing exercise because your head's going all over and it's in that fight or flight mode. But if you can do a breathing exercise, that's going to calm that down. Just, and you know, I'm not talking about sit and breathe for an hour. We're talking 2 to 3 minutes. I've talked about these like rescue remedy kind of. It's just to calm everything down, get your blood pressure lower, get that cortisol level down, get the stress down, everything. It just calms it down, resets it. And the reason why that's all started is usually sometimes it's just the feeling, or sometimes it's a thought, oh my God, what if? You know, that what if thought about a story that isn't even true. And then we create the whole story after it. Well, this breathing exercise will stop that whole story formulating. And extra worries, extra stress, and your body responding in an unhelpful way. So there's a couple, but dead simple ones, which will help you to calm down and then to kind of rationalize the thoughts. Would be, I've talked about the square breathing before, haven't I, on here? So it's like literally you breathe in for 4 counts, you imagine a square, breathe in for 4 counts at the top, hold for 4 counts down the side, breathe in for 4 counts down the bottom, and then hold for 4 counts there. And that's it. You just keep and close your eyes, just visualize the square. Some people like to follow it in the mind, you know, visually. Some people, they'll just picture it and but in for 4, it's important to hold the breath, then out for 4 and hold. That's slowing everything down for you. And because
it's a really good one. I used it the other day. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a favorite of mine. And the black and white smoke. You know, breathing in white light. So you breathe in white light and calm, positivity, whatever you want to feel, basically. And whatever I would suggest, if it was you was doing this with children, say, what's your favourite colour? You know, if they say blue, I'm just saying that because your T-shirt, Rob, but say it's blue. And they'll go, but blue's a nice, calm colour. So they'll go breathing in blue. And calm and happiness, you know, how do you want to feel? I want to feel happy. So, and we all want to feel this as adults. So do this for yourself or your children. And then as you breathe out, you just think of breathing out that thick, black, negative thoughts and anxiety. Yeah. And that's a really good visual one because you're breathing in the blue light, you're breathing out the black smoke, breathing in blue light. And if it's too, you want to make it simple, just do that. But if you want to add in the what you want to feel, bring that in. What you want to release, you breathe out.
Yeah.
That's really good. And for kids as well, if you think of it like the is it the Dementors?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Breathing out that black smoke. Think of them breathing out like that. All that horrible stuff we get out. Yeah. So that's a good one.
Love that one, yeah.
Yeah. I thought you might like that one. But yeah, so there's that. There's another one. And it's quite, people, not everybody does the visual stuff. And I get that. I've got a couple of these. So I'm just going to give you 3 because I've got about 6 to 10. So I'll just give you 3 today. But if you want any more, let me know if none of these work for you. But it's good to get people, and you can do it on yourself or you get your children. You just put your hands on your rib cage. And you think of, because when we're in anxiety, we often breathe from the chest. Yeah. And your breathing's all up here, and that's not good. We need to get it down. Yeah. And that's going to make the breathing deeper and expand, get more oxygen in. So if you put your hand on the side of your rib cage, and what you plan to do is, as you breathe in, you expand your rib cage out to the sides. So you're not thinking of going up here. You think of breathing out. So it's like you're thinking of the rib cage like a balloon. So as you breathe in, it should expand. You feel that? And as you breathe out, it'll decrease, contract. Yeah. So you think, and if you tell the children or yourself, think, push your hands out with your ribs. That'll help. So breathe in, push the hands out. Breathe out, let them go in.
Oh yeah.
Breathe in. And there's a very different breath there because you're breathing into the bottom of your rib cage and your stomach. That's really helpful. And what that's doing is, again, it's giving these exercises, they give the brain a chance to disconnect from that thought or feeling or emotion, because at the time that you're thinking about your hands on your rib cage or the black and white smoke or the blue and white Dementors, whatever it is, or the 4, counting for 4, then you're not thinking of that overwhelming feeling. You're not thinking of the thought that triggered it. It's giving the brain a separation.
Right. That's a really good one. Yeah,
really
like that one,
Yeah, so I like that one. And it's funny because that's one I used to use years ago when I was a teacher, and I had to teach because I was teaching dance and theatre and things. I had to teach this unit, which was musical theatre. There was a lot of singers, and that was one, a breathing exercise to get some depth in the lungs, but it's really good for actually calming the mind at the same time.
Yeah.
So funny how these things work later on in life, but there you go. That's
I was watching a thingy yesterday, a bit of just a podcast. Well, it was on the TV, but it was a podcast on nose breathing and mouth breathing, and how much deeper you actually breathe in when you breathe through your nose rather than when you breathe through your mouth. And it was actually like a UFC fighter who was saying that when he sees his opponents breathing through the mouth, he knows he's gone. Like he knows basically he's on it because he's struggling to breathe through the nose and he's trying to get as much oxygen as possible. But I think because you actually breathe in. I think you breathe in and utilize more oxygen when you're through the nose, because your noses are specifically designed for breathing, whereas your mouths are designed for eating. But you're taking more oxygen through the nose, but you can actually get rid of more carbon dioxide on the way out. And that means that you're more efficient with your oxygen and it uses better for you. So if you're trying to get as much in as possible is really makes sense. Yeah.
Definitely. So anything like oh, am I getting feedback off your phone then? I heard.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. But so breathing exercise. If those ones didn't work for you, there's lots more on the internet if you want to look up others. I think there's a good one that shows like a hexagon. I don't know whether you've seen it, and it gets wider and then it comes back and you just follow it as you breathe. So so you just Google breathing exercise, visual breathing exercise, and it'll come up. And there's things you can follow, visually. So that's quite good.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, but the whole concept of doing them is, like I said, it's going to lower all those things that have got high, so the cortisol, all that. I won't repeat myself, but gets that back down. But then when we've done that, then we can start to rationalize things a bit better.
Right.
Yeah. Or actually gain perspective on it, or start to, maybe sometimes it's not about rationalize it, it's about neutralizing that thought.
Totally.
Just going, right, okay. So I would definitely encourage that to start off. I'm going to give you some things that you can do in a second with after that to help with the thoughts. If the thoughts are still persisting and there's still, but you're at a calmer place, but you just want to rationalize everything. I'll talk through those in a second. But the other thing that I would encourage with anybody with anxiety is regular meditation. Okay. And people kind of go, oh, and I know, because oh God, I've got to learn to meditate. You don't. I've said it's like literally 5-10 minutes. You don't need more than that, really. But if you was kind of keeping your mind at the moment in a calm state, so if you was doing that in the morning, maybe a bit at lunchtime, and maybe a bit at the end of the day, so that's like 5 or 10 minutes each time, whatever works for you. Yeah, if it's just 5 minutes, that's fine. It's still 15 minutes of meditation a day if you was doing it 3 times. Yeah. The reason why I'm saying at the moment, and while you can, and I'm sure, I know you live with families and things, and you can always say, can you watch the children for 5 minutes? 5 minutes.
Watch the pug for 5 minutes.
Yeah, there you go. Or just escape off to the loo for 5 minutes, close the door, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I would encourage to do that, because if you're keeping your mind at a calm state throughout the day, then you won't be getting those spikes all the time, because you've got that inner balance. Does that make sense? Yeah. So rather than wait for it to come and then go, oh my God, it's like, oh no, it's there. I'm aware that I'm getting anxious, but you're not going to be as reactive as you were if you're keeping that mind in a calm place. So I would encourage that. Obviously, there's guided meditations that you could do online at the moment, loads on YouTube. Just have a scroll through. I have suggested in the past the free app, Insight Timer. Cannot speak highly enough of that. I know there's all your other ones and they're brilliant too, Headspace and things, but I know that pennies are tight. So, and it's free. Insight Timer. Insight Timer.
Just about to ask you that, because I know I ask it every week. Insight Timer.
Timer. It's brilliant. And as I said, the logo on it is like a little singing bowl. You'll see. It's like a bronze kind of singing bowl.
Cool. Yeah, I remember you showed me.
Yeah. So that's that for meditation and breathing exercises. Okay, like I said, if you are struggling with the thoughts taking over, so constant thoughts about everything, worry, and that's causing your anxiety, then this is a way that you can manage the thoughts. And the simple one, and the one that always works well for myself and a number of clients, is literally you just get a piece of paper, you draw a cross on one side, tick on the other. Mm-hmm. So the cross is, what's the evidence against this thought? And then the tick is, what's the evidence for this thought? Okay. So, but I don't mean like airy fairy, but maybe. It's not about maybe, it's what is the evidence. So we're talking clear evidence that thought is true. What backs it up? Okay.
Yeah.
In the tick box, you would put down, well, this is pure, that's the evidence, and you'd write all that in the tick box. And then the evidence against it, the cross, you'd list everything that's against that thought. Mm-hmm. Now, the good thing about that is you will often find that there's not that much evidence. And I do stress that, because people go, yeah, but it could is not evidence. What if it's not evidence? Has it actually happened before? Really think in clear terms. Is that 100% true, that thought? What's the evidence for it? And you might find you struggle with the ticks. And you're like, okay, so what's the evidence against it? Well, so many people have survived. Actually, my job's pretty safe. I've not had any news yet from this, and you start listing it, you go, oh. But actually seeing that in black and white and rationalizing it in that way makes you feel so much better, because you can't argue with it. It's there. It's fact.
Yeah.
So I really like that one.
I was saying to Jake the other day, I can't remember what day it was. I said, I'm just having one of those days. And he said, and I listed a load of things, and he just said, now write everything down why that's not true. And that's one of those things, isn't it? Yeah. You've got to.
Why is it? What's the evidence against that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a really good one to do, and it's something dead easy. And you could do, again, like I said, you could do that with children. Come on, let's talk about it. Is that actually true? You know, and you can write all that down. It helps them. Yeah. Another one is called, in NLP terms, they call it the RAIN technique. I kind of adapted it a bit, and my teacher, Jimmy Petrucci, is fine with this. This is what we all do. We learn a model, and then we adapt, and we make it relevant for ourselves. So I've kind of changed it a little bit. But it's called, I've renamed it RAIL. So rather than RAIN, it's RAIL. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the R stands for first off. So when you start to feel anxious, so R is, well, you recognize it. So you recognize what you're feeling. Okay, so you recognize what you're feeling. You might recognize the emotion that's connected to that. Okay, and the thoughts. So you've recognized it. Then the A is you accept it. Now, that's not me saying accept it and then you leave it. That's fine. It's not. Because when you're feeling anxiety, you can't just accept it and be like, that's fine. But this is a way of processing it. So first off, you recognize the emotion you're feeling, name it in your mind. So, okay, recognize I'm feeling anxious, accept it. You don't like it. It's an awful feeling. Where are you feeling it in your body? So I'm feeling it, like I said, some people it's head, some people it's chest, some people it's both head and chest, and feeling it in my stomach. And then I want you to place your hand on that area and you investigate it and you breathe into the area. So first I breathe into the area. Okay, I'm feeling anxious in my stomach, or it's anxious in my head, or anxious in my chest. And you just close your eyes and just breathe into that area. Because then you're accepting it and you're acknowledging it. That's what we need to do. Don't straight away run away from it because it's there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're sitting with it. You go, okay, so breathe into that area. Keep breathing. Okay, and then try and think what kind of thoughts are going through my mind then. So maybe it is about work. It's about this whole coronavirus. It's about the kids. It's about, whatever it is. You just explore what thoughts are connected to the anxiety. Okay. So you're exploring it. So that's, again, this is not running away from it. It's exploring it. Mm-hmm. And this is what we need to encourage sometimes. Okay. Yeah. And then the L, so that's the R, the A, and the I. The L, and you can just say, let it go. It's not as simple as that, but it is. This is like lessening the intensity. You can either say lessening the intensity or let it go. I like to say this is where we're letting it go a bit. Mm-hmm. So you start to go, well, what, how can I let this go? How can I see that as it's a thought that will pass? And will it pass? And you start to kind of think of ways of letting it go and to not identify with it. It isn't you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is like the lessening of it in that sense, and letting it go. It is not you.
Yeah.
The anxiety isn't Rob. The anxiety isn't Amanda. It's just a feeling. It's just an emotion. And I know when somebody's suffering from anxiety, it's just anxiety. It's like, yeah. So what you need to do then is you need to repeat. And I would encourage repeating in that this last section of it, the L, the letting it go. Repeat a mantra, they say, or a comforting, soothing line that works for you. So for me, I always go to, this will pass. It's just an emotion. This will pass. Yeah. This is just an emotion. It will pass. Yeah. And you start to get, if you practice that, recognize, accept, investigate where it's coming from, and then learn to let it go by that soothing mantra, that soothing line you just repeat over and over again. And you can create your own, I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm letting it go, I'm letting it go. Whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be some deep spiritual mantra. Yeah. But for me, it is, this too shall pass. This is just an emotion. This is just a thought. It's not real.
Yeah, I like that. This too shall pass.
This too shall pass. Just keep repeating until you can let it go. Now, you don't come out of these things and go, woo, life's fantastic again, but it's helped you to honor that emotion and work through it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the RAIL technique. Cool. Or RAIN.
Yeah.
The other one that, is this okay for me to just?
Yeah, perfect.
I wrote out loads of notes, you see. Mm-hmm. But Another one that I know quite a few people like is just literally doing a massive, and we talked about this, I think, in one before, so I don't want to waste people's time, but if they haven't seen the others, this is just a quick one to do. So if everybody's getting a bit, and even in the household, you know, you go, right, okay, let's just get all this down on a page, and we'll write a big mind map of all the things that are worrying you, what's causing your anxiety, what's causing your stress, you just blast it all out on a massive page. Yeah, if it's just for yourself, you just put it on the page. Oh, hello, Jack. And then you start to circle. First off, you look at all the things that are out of our control.
Yeah.
Big one would be obviously the coronavirus at the moment. That is out of our control. We can't control it. We can do our best to control it, and that's what I'll come to in a minute. But on a general scale, what are the things there? Because there will be certain things we can't control. Okay, so other people like that are stressing us out.
Yeah.
Cyclists that keep knocking into me on my walks.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Circle of control, isn't it? Circle of influence.
Yeah. So we look at that and we go, right, we can't control that. We list it because we need to think, right, that is out of our control. But then the good thing is you then look at the other stuff and you go, but what is in my control then? What can I control? That's going to lessen your anxiety, because what's strengthening your anxiety is that you don't have control. What lessens it is when you can have an element of control. That makes us all feel a hell of a lot better, doesn't it? So then you list what is in my control, and then you write a plan of action. And whether that's on your own, like I say, you can do this task on your own, or whether it's with everybody else. Right, come on, how are we going to get through this? We've got another 2.5 weeks. Yeah, you're making me anxious. This is happening. That's how can we all formulate a plan that's going to work for everybody?
Yeah.
So that's a good one to do. And again, it's the reason why I've thought I would focus on these ones is because they are practical. The things that people can put in place straight away, really.
Yeah, amazing. They're really good things. Really
good. So that's that on a kind of a logical, write it down practical thing. But there are other elements, as we know, that can increase or decrease our anxiety, and they're to do with exercise, foods, things like this. So, you know, as you know, Rob, exercise is going to help your anxiety because it produces endorphins. You know, it helps us on so many levels, doesn't it?
I always feel a bit like, well, again, I can't really target what it is, stress or anxiety. But I always feel a bit more like that when I've had a bad workout or not worked out, and it's weird. It's weird, I suppose, because again, it goes against the goals that you have, and if you have goals that are set towards fitness and goals that are set towards yourself, and you aren't taking those steps towards them, I think sometimes you do feel a bit more anxious and you do feel a bit more stressed because you aren't, you know, and those endorphins A haven't kicked in, but also B, you know, I'm quite goal orientated. So if I'm not on the right path, then I suppose I'm feeling a bit anxious about, you know, what's the path that you're supposed to be on. And I suppose that's one of the things as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all to do with that. And that's going to help you feel better and uplift your mood if you're getting closer to your goals. Mm-hmm. But if you're feeling anxious, your cortisol levels are high. You know, we keep repeating that, but it's true, your cortisol levels high. So what are the other ones that you want to be high if we can get that lower? Well, that's serotonin, isn't it? It's endorphins. They're the things that we want to be encouraging. Yeah, and it's known that you get that via exercise. Now, we're not talking that you have to go and lift extortionate amount of weights or whatever. But, you know, as we know, there's some fabulous classes that your guys are doing at the moment that people can get involved in. There's the gym classes you can do. There's the nice yoga ladies that have been on doing their yoga classes as well. That's going to help with your endorphins and your serotonin. The cycling, if you've got a bike and you can go out at the moment and knock into Amanda that's on her walks because she has her headphones in. My fault. Then you can go out on bike rides. There's walks, you know, you do whatever works for you. Yeah. But, you know, how much better do you feel? Like I'm quite lucky at the moment. I'm not lucky as in I don't have a garden, but I've got a balcony. But I'm lucky that I live near a park. so I can get out in that greenery. And, you know, most of us can get to somewhere with a bit of greenery. And so just, you feel so much better, don't you? Just by getting, that's going to help with your anxiety. Just get out, get in nature. And if you can't do that at the moment, I appreciate, sit in your garden, do whatever. Even if you open the window, somebody said the other day on a podcast I was listening to, said, even if I just open the window and hear the birds and let some air in, it's like breathing in that new life. So I would definitely recommend, if you can, get out, you know, do the exercise in whatever forms you can. You can even do your gym workouts in the back garden. Most of your people do, don't they? They're there in the back.
Do the back garden. We've asked for some selfies of people of where they do them as well, so we can put a bit of a picture as to where they're exercising. But yeah, lots of garden work going on, and you know, and we are blessed with some really nice weather at the moment as well. So if you can and when you can. So
so I'd definitely say that. The other thing, don't worry, I've only got about four points left.
I'm enjoying
3 hours later, the live's still going. People have switched off. They've made the dinner come back.
We've got a few more viewers now as well, which is good.
Have we? Have we got any questions? Has anybody popped on, or are they just happy to listen?
Yeah, no questions, just people.
No questions so far. Feel free to ask if you've just hopped on and you want to stop me from just keep going, but it's fine. I don't mind. We can divert for a minute and come back.
And if you want us to delve into more of a point, then by all means, let us know as well. But
or explain further if you think, oh, Amanda, I didn't really get what you meant there, then I'm quite happy to explain more.
What Jack's up to, he's just chilling.
Oh, to be Jack.
I know, he just wants the neighbours.
Yeah, Jack's not anxious, is he? No. Let's all be more like Jack.
When there's food around.
Leftover porridge. I think he likes the end of the porridge, doesn't he?
You're absolutely right, yeah.
Okay, so which actually that leads me on to my next point, which is eat regularly. Don't get hungry. Yeah, your anxiety, if that's high, you need to be eating regularly because that's going to keep that cortisol at bay. Yeah, we all know that term, hungry. It's for a reason. If you're not feeding your body enough throughout the day at regular intervals, then your stress level is going to go high, your anxiety is going to increase. And we're just like, you know, I can't talk to people when I'm hungry. I need to eat. Yeah, we can't focus. We're a bit more grouchy and we're more sensitive. So I would definitely encourage nourishing foods at regular intervals.
Yeah, and it's important to say nourishing as well. You know,
nourishing
foods, crap foods will make you feel worse, and good foods will make you feel good. But also, a lot of people who are trying fasting during this time because they feel like they're eating a little bit too much. You know, if that's not good for you mentally, then you know, I don't recommend it. It's just you know, you've got to do what works for you physically and mentally. And if fasting is a great technique for you in terms of calorie restriction, but actually it's making you feel a bit mentally not very good, don't do it. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's you've got to see how it's affecting you, because you might think, like you say, for weight it's working, but for your brain it's not. And you know, what do you want? A great body and an unhappy mind?
No, and I always feel like one complements the other. You know, if you're in a good space mentally, you're better to get into a good space physically, but also vice versa. If you're in a bad space mentally, you know, stress stops me eating right and stops me eating well, but also hinders my training sessions. So
and you made a really good point there, Rob, about being choosy about what you eat, because I'm saying eating at regular intervals, you know, less sugar, avoid the sugar crashes. So, you know, if you're snacking on the chocolate, the sweets, fine, you know, everything in moderation. But if you're doing it too much and you're feeling that spike and crash, it's not good for your mood. So I would try and, you know, stick with your proteins, snacks, your veggies. You know, some people like, you know, all this probably I'm preaching to the converted anyway. But, you know, for people that are thinking, what can I eat then regularly? It's, you know, just get your carrot sticks and hummus and rice cakes, complex carbs.
Don't forget your G-bombs.
Your G-bombs. I love those. What were they again? They were greens.
Beans, onions, mushrooms, berries and seeds. One portion of each a day.
There you go. So So there you go. If you was just eating those and like regularly, so you've got your 3 set meals, haven't you? Usually, breakfast, lunch, dinner, or if you like me, breakfast, dinner, tea.
Oh God, yeah, this debate, yeah.
I know. I must admit, I still say tea, and I've got some friends. It's dinner, man. I'm like, it's tea. But yeah, we've got your 3 regular meals, but then in between you've got your snacks. And that's where your nuts and your healthy complex carbs and everything comes in. Okay, and obviously, if people needed more advice on that, I'm sure you guys would be able to help more with the nutrition stuff. But yeah, but that gives an idea. But it's just that consistent. Don't let yourself get hungry.
No.
Okay. Avoid too much caffeine.
Yeah.
Because that for anxiety, again, it's like party city. Just have I have a cut-off point. I love my coffee, to be fair. I do, as you know. The Americanos with hot milk, not a princess at all. But anyway, a nice coffee is good, but I'm aware that it does spike my stress and anxiety and also affects my sleep. Yeah. And we need sleep at the moment as well to keep our stress and anxiety levels at bay. Yeah. So if you can have a cut-off point, mine's usually, I think the latest caffeine fix is about 2:30. Yeah. Really, it should be 2, but 2:30. And so then
coffee after this, I suppose.
Yes, yeah. Third one. And then after that, that's it. I'll switch to decaf. So don't go, oh God, I can't have anything now. And I know, there's a lot of people that say, well, decaf's worse for you. Well, you can either, if you want to have the decaf, you can. That's still, you're getting the same taste and not feeling like you're kind of missing out. Or other people, if they think, well, no, it's bad to have the decaf stuff, then you have switched to different, like if you're a fan like me of hot Vimto, I like a good hot Vimto. No added sugar ones and things like that. There's, your fruity teas. But be aware, though, I did have one client once and she said, oh, yeah, I've been switching off from my caffeine at lunch and then I just go on to green tea for the rest of the day. It's like, green tea's got caffeine in. Yeah. Some people don't realise that green tea has caffeine in. So just be aware of that and switch off. So either switch off or switch to decaf.
Yeah.
Keep connected with your fountains at the moment.
Yeah.
The people that are uplifting you. Yeah. Because there'll be, and we all know them, there's going to be some people that are feeding into this fear and anxiety at the moment. And it's not their fault, everybody's got their own journey with this. But, if that doesn't do you well, then don't spend too long on the phone to them or on the chat with them. Just be selective and try and make time to connect with the uplifting ones, the fountains that are going to and talk about different things, So, connect with the fountains.
Yeah.
Avoid too much social media.
Definitely.
And it's not so much. I mean, at the beginning, we've said a lot about this, and we can repeat. Same with the news. Avoid it. If I'm not saying avoid the news and just play dumb. We know this is huge, and you do need to keep alerted on the facts, but be mindful of when you do that. So if it's 1 hour at night, you watch a certain thing at whatever time it's on, 8:00 or whatever is question time, something like that. Or if it's you check on the government website once a day, then that's fine. But don't keep bombarding yourself with the news and things like this.
I do think the news, sometimes social media is a bit of a political minefield.
Yeah.
And, there's so much stuff in topic at the moment, which is quite, well, just, it's disheartening to see. So, if you want to pay, I mean, I think it was Monday. I mean, I watched the news for an hour and I was like, oh,
wow, life's over. Isn't it?
Not even to say I'm staying negligent to what's happening, but the media and this always focusing on the bad and that terrible, which again, social media is a place where people will talk about it. So it's use what you look at. I think on social media, I like to look at the positive stuff, and I think this group's been really positive for us. So that's been nice to see. And I've also the positive stuff that you could follow on there, like the funny stuff which makes me laugh. That's stuff I'll go on
and share that with people as well. Lift people up. Some people like that. They
Yeah.
do. So yeah, things like that. But also, going back to the social media, it's not sometimes so much about the news. I find that it's a lot of people are comparing. They think, oh, look at them, all coping fantastic with this pandemic.
Right.
Look at their perfect family in the hot tub. And well, we don't have a hot tub. So it's all that comparison again comes in. And you've got to just remember, again, people will only be putting on the good stuff. Nobody's going to be putting on the oh my God, we've all just had a massive row. Such and such a body stomped upstairs and crying in the bedroom. I've done this now. Tea was ruined. They're not.
And from a fitness aspect as well, all these people like stay in shape, like we're doing our best to keep people active, but then you've got the other people who are like, I've switched to this and I've done this and my body now looks like this, and it's kind of putting that pressure on other people that they don't necessarily need.
Yeah.
I'm a fitness professional, but also I'm quite a realist. And, there's times and places where you can go and chase your goals, but there's times and places where if you don't want to, then don't,
Yeah.
We're coming into the period where usually we're in, it's April now. People would start with their summer goals and summer bodies for their summer holidays. That's when you would say, right, it's time to chase it. January is a very hard work for people who go back to work and all hands to the pump. So it's pick and choose your moments to chase your goals and fitness wise.
Yeah.
If you can, great. If you can't, there'll always be time to do that. I'm not going to go sit on the couch and eat some ice cream all day every day.
But we
lifestyle,
we don't all have to be coming out like ripped with our next new business plan and to take the pressure off.
Yeah, exactly. And when people say, oh well, I've done this business and I've done that and I've done this, and that's great. If you've got the time to do that, you can, then brilliant. But if you can't, don't put the pressure on yourselves to do it. If getting by is enough,
exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, take each day at a time.
Yeah.
And then the last one was, it's sometimes, although I will always encourage people to sit with their emotions and to work through them, rather than run away. Sometimes it might just be it's a little bit of anxiety that's coming up, and if it's just a little bit, and it's sometimes good to distract before it gets worse.
Yeah.
And you forgot about it. And it's things like, call that fountain. That could be a good distraction technique. The one that's going to lift you up and joke and talk about daft stuff.
Yeah.
Or it could be, there's a common one. Have you heard of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? No. So when you're feeling, well, there's two actually. There's different one techniques of that. I won't go into that. But anyway, there's one you literally think, right, look around. So if you're feeling overwhelmed and you're getting that feeling, think, right, what are 5 things in this room that I can see?
Yeah.
Right. So this is what it's doing, is it's getting you in the moment again and your head not everywhere else. Okay. So you just quickly look around, you name 5 things that you can see. So I can see Rob on here, I can see my door, I can see my lamp, I can see, so just identify, I can see Jack. So identify 5 things that you can see.
Yeah.
Then again, don't worry guys, if you just watch this back if you want, so what were those things she said? 5 things that you can see, 4 things that you can feel.
Yeah.
So it might be the table, my jeans, the breeze, whatever you're feeling at the moment. Yeah. So there's 4 things that you can feel, 3 things that you can hear. And you might think, well, it's nothing, I'm sat in a quiet room. But actually, there might be a slight hum of the boiler. There might be, something outside. You've heard a car go by. There will be 3 things that you can hear.
Yeah.
2 things that you can smell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you'll find 2 things that you can smell. And then 1 thing that you can taste. And people go, well, what can you taste? And it's like, it might be whatever you have had. So what you can taste in your mouth at the moment. It could be that you've just had a drink that you can still taste a bit of, or some food. If you can't, then just taste the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what that does, it's a really clever one, or a crafty one, as they say, of getting your mind to disconnect from that thought or that overwhelming emotion, and brings you back into the now. It's brought you back in. Yeah.
Yeah.
because it's the senses, isn't it? So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell. Yeah. If you can't think of these in like number, don't worry, just think of 1 thing that you can smell. If you can't smell 2 things, don't panic, don't worry. And then 1 thing that you can taste. Cool. But that's a good one.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, distraction techniques. Do what works for you. Or if like we've I've spoke about before with people, if humor's a good one for you, just quickly have a look on YouTube and Google your famous comedian that you like and watch him or her for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Some amazing stuff there. Thank you very much. And I'm sure everyone's took some really cool stuff today.
Yeah, I hope so.
You know, I definitely have, especially the breathing with the ribs in and out. I'll definitely be doing that. So thank you very much for today. I'll upload this onto YouTube. I was thinking next week we could just touch lightly on goal setting, perhaps.
Yeah.
Just something, you know, I know we said not to put too much pressure on it, but even little goals, I suppose, during this times, I always think making little promises to myself and keeping them is something that is getting me going. So, yeah, of course.
Yeah, definitely goals for next week. And I've got some helpful sheets and things for that as well, if people want me to email them as well.
Yeah, amazing. This will be on YouTube. Amanda's got some amazing stuff on YouTube as well, so be sure to check that out. We're all constantly posting some cool stuff onto the group, and Amanda's there, and she's free for us on a Thursday. So she's made herself available to any of your gym members that you want to utilize Amanda's services for. I know a lot of people are reaping the benefits of these Q&As, but also the time one-to-one. So thank you very much for helping.
You're welcome. And you know, I do encourage people, you know, I'm here for you guys. So if you're struggling, then you just send me an email, book it in, and we'll get you fitted in somewhere. Yeah, don't.
And we're here as a support network. You know, we've got you to help with the mind and us to help with the body. And, you know, Max is helping a couple of other people with the kind of rehab and stuff. So
it's like, and sorry, just highlighting now that it's been brilliant that this week for that, you know, with a particular person that I've been working with from your gym. And there's been one of the PTs has been in touch with this lady. So has the physio that's in the community as well. So it's about everybody coming together, and that's what we're doing. And you know, I think you guys are brilliant. So
thank you very much. Bye to Jack.
Bye Jack.
Listening to everything. I hope he's took some stuff from it. He's so chilled.
He's just closed his eyes like
so sleepy all the time. Yeah, I think he's just everywhere we go, he just sleeps next to us. Yeah, thank you very much again.
You're welcome. Thank you. I've enjoyed it, Rob. And
good. Thank you. No, you have some really great points. So I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Look forward to next week.
Yeah, me too. See you later. Bye.
Bye.